Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 13th, 2022 at approximately 1:38 p.m. PST. It's sad. I keep talking about working together I keep getting, okay, we'll try that one in English. I returned to this world for one primary reason, and that is to remind everybody in existence that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Here's the problem, and I'm seeing this way too frequently. Okay, I ran into it again just the other day, and no, I'm not going to tell you company names, but quite frankly, I'm 59 now, and I have run into in recent years 4 companies only. There might be 2 more. I've just started working with them. Okay, but I've only run into 4 companies that actually claim to do something and follow through with it. Okay, and do the job well. Now, unfortunately, this is a major problem. Trust, quite frankly, for me, has never been a strong suit because of the amount of complications I've gone through. But what I am finding is, unfortunately, in virtually every case, I actually find, and I don't know how you're doing it, but I find that I really have to know almost as much about the company, about how to do what the company is supposed to do in order to get the service I'm requiring. Now, if you think back about it, okay, where it comes to automotive stuff, okay, usually it was a case of, way back when, it was a question of women, and even today, many times women get shortchanged because they don't know the mechanical industry, so they get taken advantage of. Okay, promises are made. Oh, yeah, we'll deal with it. I run into the same problem in many cases. Okay, just because of the fact I am not well educated in many fields. Now, I find it very frustrating. Okay, I can write 32 books at the same, 31 books at the same time right now. Okay, track them without a problem. I can pull somebody's personality apart without even blinking. And that may sound cocky, but it's just the way it is. Okay, I've been doing this now I've been working in my industry for what? 40. No, I started when I was 23, so 36 years now. Okay, well, really, when you think about it, 49. Okay, it's just the first 13 was without a business license. Okay, that was just simply working in that field. Helping people understand where they themselves were going. Okay, what I'm finding now is I ran into a real roadblock. I got a massive disappointment the other day. And the other day would be yesterday. Yesterday it arrived. I really pieced it together this morning. So I will be contacting them. I doubt very much there's anything that can be done about it, and would lay odds they're going to turn around and tell me it was my fault. Okay, I had a bank do that to me years ago. Told me it was my fault that they had taken extra money out of a disconnected bank account. I.e., I had 2 bank accounts that were not connected to each other, and the bank actually turned around and blamed me for them pulling money out of the second account that had no link to the first one, and they refused to do anything about it. Now, in my case, I have a slightly different reaction because of the way that energy works around me. I got upset and ended up freezing their entire main floor. I didn't do anything from a technological standpoint. I just got agitated. Okay, and now what I'm finding is I'm striving to move forward. I'm striving to get things underway. And virtually every time I rely on a company, I end up with the same issue. Okay. They tell me one thing and they don't follow through with it. Now, it is an absolute critical factor when I talk about working together. Okay. Karmic law is pretty cut and dry. Energy out, energy in. Meaning, if you're going to give your word on something, if you're going to say, this is the way I do it, okay, then back it up. I used to deal with a phone company. Okay, paid for the extra. I paid for the extended warranty. The company I bought the phone through refused to honor the extended warranty that I paid for. So I went to the manufacturer. They refused to honor their manufacturer's warranty. Now I know I'm not the only one that goes through this. Okay, but as I told my parents years ago, the fact I'm not the only one going through it, or that some people have it worse, really doesn't make me feel any better. Okay, so what I'm looking at is this: if you run a company, if you're giving your word on anything, follow through with it if it is at all possible. Okay, sometimes things will happen. Okay, sometimes things do go sideways. I mean, life unfortunately is not perfect. Lord knows I've made some mistakes. I've still got a piece of information I'm looking for, and thus far have not found it. Now this is comical, really. Actually, I should do that while I'm sitting here. I keep an eye on my blood pressure and what have you, because of the fact that things annoy me quite frequently. But here's the thing: when you're striving to get something done, if you don't know how to do it, you're absolutely going to turn to somebody else. And I encourage you to find somebody that has done it successfully before. Now that's where the problem comes in. Okay, because greed has become such a rampant problem that even if, and I'm finding this with many companies, okay, where they've done it successfully before and they're relying on their name, okay, in order to get people's attention. They're relying on smooth talking people to get commitments. Unfortunately, they're not following through with their commitments. Now, this is a pretty massive problem that's going to lead to some pretty serious downfalls. Now, if it is true, I caught wind on Facebook, and I don't trust anything on the net anymore. Okay, not to speak of anyway. But if it is true, Norway, because of the increase in cost of food, seems to be now getting the farmers are banding together and bypassing the grocery stores altogether. Okay, it's going to be impacts like that that are going to change the way that the world works. The major moguls are going to be are going to be absolutely are going to be hit the hardest because things are falling apart. We found this the other day when in Kelowna here. Apparently, it was nationwide and possibly global. I don't know. Okay, but when you've got a company that gets so big that the customers no longer matter, and that workmanship or quality no longer counts, you've got a major problem. Now, from my standpoint, it's real simple. I do my best, okay, and I'm not perfect by any stretch, okay. I do my best to bite my tongue where it is counterproductive. Unfortunately, my temper can get the worst of me, verbally speaking, and I can put my foot in my mouth really fast. You know, but that being said, and this is just one of those. Now, yeah, you do realize this is a live recording. Okay. Because of that, because I do know that my system's a little off kilter right now. So from my standpoint, it's very simple. I just want to know whether or not it's working. Because my blood pressure this morning was just insane. So like I said, I've got one of these things to make sure I stay on track. Okay. Now, I'm pretty certain that's going to pop off at a little high. But we'll find that out in a second. Again, the reality is when I talk about working with people, this little machine is simply for blood pressure and pulse. Now, do I rely on it to give me a static point? Yeah, my blood pressure is still really high, which gives me a very clear idea of what I did wrong. okay, of how badly this set me off. You know, blood pressure right now is 154/82. I'm hoping that is not accurate. So let's do that again. Because that says I'm sitting here, my pulse is at 101. That it better not be right, because that's a bit of a problem. I've been sitting still for Lord knows how long. If my pulse is that high, that's an issue. But like I said, this is a live recording, so hiccups like this just gives you an idea. Like I said, from my standpoint, it's very simple. Okay, when you're working with people, it is absolutely critical that you do understand where you're coming from. If you've got a problem, if you've got something you require done that you cannot do yourself, that you just don't know how. Okay, it is critical you find people that do know how. But that said, do your due diligence. Apparently, I've made a pretty serious mistake on that. Okay, and we're just gonna see what the. No, it definitely is a little on the high side. So, when I get done this video, that's what I'm going to get concentrating on, is bringing it right back down to normal. Because at 154/94 with a pulse of 104, I'm sitting still. Now, that's a pretty bad sign. Am I going to let it do me in? No. Okay, I haven't got time for that. But it certainly means that I have no option but to really take dominant control. Now, I'm going to sidetrack myself here, and I'm going to explain something here. When you actually focus on your body, one of the biggest things about getting your life working right is taking dominant control. Now, I don't need to know what the problem is. What I need to know, what I require, is a marker that I can work with. That's a little on the high side. Now, yesterday, before this whole event happened, my blood pressure was bang on the money at 120/80. Right? Bang on the money. But apparently that is not the case right now. Now, part of that might be temperature. I don't know. But after I get done this video, I'm going to find out. And then through focusing on it, through deliberately lowering my blood pressure, I'm going to bring it down to a functional method, to a functional level. So, I mean, this really is, from my standpoint, this is a bit of an issue. Not the fact that I can't pull it down. I know I can. Usually takes me a little bit of time. But when you're looking at your life, okay, when you're looking at the way your world is running, it is absolutely critical that you take a look at it and go, okay, this is what I require. Now, I'm just going to check something here while I'm on the net, because quite frankly, health is kind of an important thing. So I'm just checking something here. Like I said, this is a live recording. Now, high ambient temperatures raise blood pressure. I believe the answer is yes. And okay, affect hot weather. Blood pressure can be affected. Okay, well, I don't know offhand what the temperature is, so let's just take a look at that. Talk about going sideways on a recording. Temperature here is 27 Celsius, so I don't know what that is offhand with Fahrenheit, but it's got to be close to 95. Okay, and if what I'm reading here is accurate, what I can end up with, what I'm probably dealing with, part of this is temperature affected, which is a good thing, but I'm still going to keep a real close eye on it for the next couple hours until I get back down to where it belongs. Here's the thing. Okay, if you get stressed, which, by the way, when I get crossed the way I did this time, it causes major stress. Now, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I thought I had wiped out 40 years of writing. My blood pressure, my temperature went right through the roof. Difference was that the temperature was way below what it is today. So now I've got to take a look at that. But here's the thing: when you're striving to get something done, absolutely know your own work. Okay, know what you've got to do. I'm having to, at this point, really buckle down and figure out computers, because it is clear that the companies that are out there today are not following through. They are not working. They're not following through with proper customer service in my eyes. Okay, what you're dealing with is people that are going, we can do this and we can do that, and they don't come through. And this is just my experience. This is also one of the reasons why I'm not giving names. Okay, because unfortunately, giving names at this point can result in all sorts of things. But I do caution you, if you're dealing with a company you've never personally dealt with, ask every question you can. If they don't have the answers, or if they don't give you information, like, for instance, I will be starting I've already paid for it and set it in motion. I will actually have an actual website up for the Yldrbac Chronicles and my other writings. Okay, and that'll be up within the next little while here. I've just got the meeting on Friday to get that moving. But when you're striving to do this, in my case, I quite frankly tell people flat out, I don't know the industry. I don't. Now, what I'm finding is these geniuses out here, a lot of them, what they do, if you tell people you don't know the industry, sadly, they're going to take advantage of it in many, many, many cases. Okay. Personally, I find this absolutely appalling. Okay. For me, it's very much like when somebody has a phobia. If somebody has a phobia, I love knowing what the phobia is, but the reason for it is so that I don't inadvertently trigger it. I know many people that the moment they find out about somebody's fear, they will capitalize on it, and they'll call it a prank, or they'll call it funny. Okay, and you see this on the net all the time. Oh, look at this prank. Well, I'll tell you, the prank is, in all fairness, very seldom funny to the person being pranked. Okay, now, am I going to continue working with my local printer? There is absolutely no question. Okay, because quite frankly, they're doing a fantastic job, and I will continue working with them because they're doing a fantastic job. Now, the problem is I can't tell you and this is why I don't do a whole lot of going, here's the company I work with. Because the reality is I cannot guarantee that for your product they'll be able to they'll do the same thing. For me, I'm happy with it. Okay. And especially with the artist I've got that's doing the work for the Yldrbac Chronicles. He is doing such an absolutely magnificent job that I could not be happier with him, I don't think. He sent me the newest front cover for the fourth book, the one that'll be coming out at the end of next year. He sent me the newest cover, and he goes, "This is a first draft." I'm looking at it going, how are you possibly going to make that better? When I talked to the web designer, he was looking at the front covers for the Birth of the Wolf Pack and the End of an Epoch. Okay, and the neat part there is he looked at it and he goes, "Where, pray tell?" Now I'm not saying it quite the way he did, but you'll get the idea. He goes, "Where in tarnation did you find an artist like that?" Okay, now to me this is corroboration that the guy is doing a fantastic job. Never mind the fact I'm happy with it. But if you've got a project that you've put on hold because other people have said you're not good enough, okay, do not let that derail you. If you've got a goal that you desire to accomplish, dig your heels in and make it happen. The only holdup is this. If you had a goal that you were desiring to reach by the time you were 25, if you're over 25, you're not making that goal by the time you're 25. It's not going to happen. But this does not mean that you cannot achieve that goal. I had a client years ago, and I mentioned her to you before. When she was coming out of high school, she desired to become a doctor. Life got in the way, and she didn't get started on her MD until she was 52. Okay, but she got her MD at 60, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt, especially for her, she had set a goal for herself, and she stayed with it. Same as with me. When I was 15, okay, the middle of my high school years, I made a commitment I was going to publish. Well, the nice part there, in my eyes, is I've done exactly that. I've now got 6 books in print. I'll have a 7th one in print before the end of this week. Before the end of the week we're sitting in, as far as I've been told. I'm guessing it may be the beginning of next week, but we'll see what happens. Okay. But the fact is, I set a goal for myself when I was 15. I didn't give up on it. It got put aside for a very long time. Now I'm pushing it together. Okay. And we have started final edit on the Return to Paradise, which is the book that I'm aiming at getting out at the end of the year. So if you've got a goal, even if it's been on hold for a while, even if it's been dormant for years, if it is still a viable goal to you, do not let people tell you you cannot accomplish it. Well, let them tell you, just don't buy into it. Okay. Now, I am doing my best to maintain a polite way of putting things. But frankly, society is being shafted. And what I mean by that, quite frankly, way, way, way too many people. Not just the politicians and the elite. Okay. Not just the religious people. I'm referring to across the board. Okay. I'm finding a staggering number of the people. Now, I'm a firm believer that 95% of people are decent people. But unfortunately, greed gets in the way where business comes into play. And the massive majority of people I'm finding are not following through with what they've set for goal, or with what they've set for parameters. Okay, they aren't following their own word. This is going to lead to a disaster. It led to it back in Rome. Okay, when the Roman Empire fell. It led to it at the beginning of World War II. At the end of the reign of monarchies. Okay, we keep repeating the same thing. Now there's an old saying that goes, those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. So the geniuses that are out there destroying the ancient artworks and the ancient monuments, these geniuses are almost unilaterally ensuring that the future generations will walk down the same stupid path that was followed before. Now, I call it stupid for one reason. If you know better and you do it anyway, this is called stupidity. True ignorance is if you don't, for whatever reason, if you haven't managed to attain a certain amount of knowledge, or you haven't managed for whatever reason to wrap your brain away around the way something works. This is true ignorance. Okay. I'm not referring to that issue of ignorance where, oh, I'm being rude to somebody. Okay. But we're dealing with a massive miscarriage of civilization that is going to lead to an absolute disaster. Now, I'm not a doomsayer by any means, but I'll tell you right now, if you put a ball on the edge of your dining room table, and you look at it and you go, if I push the ball towards the end and it reaches the edge of the table, it's going to fall. Now, is it a possibility it won't? Certainly. I mean, I watched somebody roll a dice a few months ago, right? And I mean, just a standard dice. Standard dice. It was 20-sided dodecahedron. Okay, a gaming die 20. I watched this dice roll to the edge of the table. Okay, roll down the edge of the table, make a 90-degree corner, and then come back onto the table without falling on the floor. Now, it's very much like the picture I've actually got on my phone. Matter of fact, I wonder if I can actually do that. I don't even know if I can. Let's see if I've got it here. I'm just scrolling back through it to see if I've still got the picture here. I don't know if this is going to work. We'll see. I actually posted a picture of it. There we are. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not. And since I don't have a way of checking, yeah, there is no way I'm going to be able to check that because I can't see where it would show. So from that end, because of that, I'm not going to bother showing you the picture, but I did post it I posted it a while ago on Facebook, and I think I'll do that again just because. But I've got a picture where my son actually rolled a standard six-sided die. Just a normal, everyday six-sided dice. Okay. And it landed on an edge. And yes, I've got photographic proof of it. Okay, I just don't know where I would find it on the computer right now, so I'm certainly not going to be posting it right now. But things can happen that are a little bit odd. But the reality is we have to, as a society, start working with each other. You've got to start following your word. Okay, now there are times when things will get in the way and you won't be able to go through with what you originally thought. Okay, I'm still looking for a piece of information I was asked about. Thus far, I've not been able to find it. And with that in mind, when I find it, I will deal with it. Until then, it will have to stay on hold. Now, I've been called a lot of things over the years. Okay, some of them are actually repeatable in polite company. But what I have come to realize is unless I really get a handle on things and start pushing the right buttons, this idea of putting things politely and going, if we work together, it'll be great, we'll have a better world. It is true, do not get me wrong, that message has not changed. And to that end, I am asking your assistance in spreading this message to everyone you come across. It's absolutely imperative. But this idea of going, of backing people up and saying, "Oh, you're doing a wonderful job," I will tell you right now, the religious societies, the various different religions, the politicians that are pushing through laws and stipulations that are imbalanced, the spiritual people that are pushing through concepts that you have to fear, the educational system that is pushing people through without actually teaching them anything. Parents are letting their kids get away with whatever. Okay. These are failing techniques. This is not something that is just going to straighten itself out unless we as individuals start getting off our tail feathers and making it happen. Now, with this in mind, I've got to let you go. I've got a whole pile of things I've still got to get done, not the least of which is to bring my blood pressure down. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on for the next little while. And until then, until we meet again, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.